Expressions and Equations 2, or the second standard, has two goals. One, that you can rewrite expressions in different forms, and then B will be I can describe expressions in words. We're going to work on the A part of the goal now. To write expressions, you need to translate, kind of like when you translate from one language to another, the words into an expression. Remember, an expression is something that doesn't have an equal sign, but has numbers and variables. Some common words for operations, to give you some clues, for addition would be more than, plus, additional, sum, subtraction, less, less than, fewer than, and difference, multiplication, per, times, of, we've talked about a few of these, product, division would be half, share equally, divide by, quotient. So these are some key words that you need to use to help yourself, but also to put in your brain as to remember instead of just having to go back and look at this all the time. The steps you need to take are: 1, identify the key words. So in this example, 10 more points than Marissa scored. 10 more than, I guess, and then Marissa scored. So 10 more points. We're talking about points in this case, so this might be the variable that I use because that's the unknown, the points that Marissa scored. And then we need to take those keywords and then translate the words into an algebraic expression. So 10 more points than Marissa scored. A few examples are 3 times last year's deal. So the key words, we have 3, which will be this, times, which will give you that multiplication, last year's deal. So we're talking about the deal that we don't know, so maybe I use D for deal. Could I have used Y for year or L for last year? Yes, as long as you pick the one that makes the most sense. So I have 3 times the deal, or you could just write 3D because a letter next to a variable still means multiplication. The next example, you'd have 2 more than twice. Twice means 2 times something, and it says the previous month's sale, so I'm going to put S for sale. So I have 2 more than 2 times the previous month's sale, or S. This last example is a bigger word problem, but a lot of word problems want you to translate them into some sort of equation or expression and then use that information to solve it. So in this example, it says the force of gravity on the Earth is 6 times greater than on the Moon. As a result, objects weigh 6 times as much on Earth as they do on the Moon. So part A says, write an expression for the weight of an object on Earth if the weight on the Moon is X. And it gets very confusing when you see all these words, so it's really, really important that you go back to the problem and highlight those key terms that we've been talking about. So in the first sentence it says the force of gravity on Earth is 6 times greater than on the Moon. So the Earth is the weight of the force of gravity on Earth is 6 times greater than on the Moon. As a result, we weigh 6 times as much on Earth as they do on the Moon. Now the question asked again, write an expression for the weight of an object on Earth if the weight on the Moon is the unknown, the X. So if I have X and I weigh some amount on the Moon, to figure out what I'm going to be on Earth, I'm going to have to do 6 times that unknown, so 6 times X. Now for part B, a scientific instrument weighs 34 pounds on the moon. How much does it weigh on Earth? So we know that's what it weighs on the moon, and we know that the moon weight is X, so I can do 6 times the weight of that instrument, which would be 204, which is the weight on Earth.